It's almost as if you pilots think that it's all some kind of wonderful game that you're playing when you go up in those Veritechs.
It has never been a game, Claudia. Maybe someday you'll understand that.
I'm a traitor, Commander.
Colonel.
It's only right for a traitor to die out in the open like this so the buzzards can pick at his body.
It means that they're real men who are trying to rebuild the Earth while all you can do is drink and feel sorry for yourself.
Robotech is very, very unusual. It's not your standard cartoon fare as we know it today.
Macek actually got death threats from some fans who were accusing him of debasing and corrupting the original Japanese artistic creations.
We know where you live and we'll find you and track you down. I mean, it's really, they would make dartboards in the cons and stuff. It really was, people would have targets, my face out with targets on them and stuff. So I became the object of fan scorn.
It was just so different from everything else that we had watched before.
They had problems, there were conflicts, they loved each other, they died, which certainly you never saw in American cartoons at that time. The main characters just didn't die.
I would rush home every day to watch it. I mean, if I had to do detention, I would say, I will make it up to you. I'll come in on the weekends.
It had this magic to it. The characters were so fascinating. The storyline that was being told, I mean, essentially it's a love story.
Robotech is both one of the most beloved and most controversial series among the anime fandom. Many praise it for its creative storytelling and for exposing Western audiences to anime with deeper meanings than those found in Astro Boy or Speed Racer. However, for all its praise, it has received just as much scorn, as many condemn the series, calling it a bastardization of the medium. Robotech has been the subject of scrutiny, not just due to its localization, but also due to the illicit actions on the account of its producer and distributor, a company known as Harmony Gold. What started as a simple project to produce an English dub for a Japanese anime series turned into a legacy of lawsuits, scandals, broken promises, tax fraud, embezzlement, unpaid royalties, Swiss bank accounts, and statutes of limitations. This is a full comprehension of the story, the series, and the aftermath. This is Robotech. In the mid-1970s, a man named Carl Macek worked as a professor at a college in Southern California. He considered himself hip and strived to go out of his way to make sure his students saw him as the cool teacher. This meant spending time after class talking to his students about pop culture, especially TV and movies. During one of these conversations, a student mentioned that they had started watching a cartoon airing on one of California's Spanish-language stations. The cartoon was about a boy that piloted a giant robot, which he used to fight other robots and monsters. The show was called Mazinger Z, and it became Macek's gateway into the world of Japanese animation. Macek eventually left the college to pursue work in the film industry as a writer and producer, all the while collecting tapes and importing Japanese animation cells to add to his art collection. In the early 80s, Macek left Hollywood, opting to instead open an art gallery to sell original art pieces and animation cells he had collected. One day, Macek received a call from a man looking to make an offer on a piece in his collection. Specifically, the man asked Macek if he owned any Tatsunoko animation cells. The man said he worked for a company that was dubbing a piece of Japanese animation called the Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Macek told the man he was going to do well for himself, since Macross is one of the most popular series in Japan. Surprised by his knowledge of the series, the man invited Macek to his company's headquarters. This company was called Harmony Gold. Egyptian entrepreneur Frank Agrama founded Harmony Gold in the late 70s. Prior to that, Agrama was a filmmaker, directing knockoff blockbuster movies like The Godfather's Friend and Queen Kong. From the late 70s to the early 80s, Agrama began purchasing film and television rights from a Hong Kong distributor and selling them to overseas markets. In 1984, Agrama licensed the Japanese anime series, The Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Due to the popularity of Star Wars and Transformers, Agrama saw potential in adapting the series, which featured transforming robots fighting space aliens. The series was retitled Space Fortress Macross, and Carl Macek was chosen to write and direct the English dub. In order to test the market, Harmony Gold started by adapting the first 3 episodes packaged together as a movie. The adaptation stayed mostly true to the original, or at least in terms of anime adaptations at that time.
Guess you didn't read about my having shot down 108 enemy planes?
You're proud of being a killer?
There was a war on and I was a soldier. I just did my duty.
Characters like Roy and Minmay kept their original names. However, the name of the main character, Hikaru Ichijo, was changed to Rick Yamada. Harmony Gold also added extra narration over scenes that were silent, and created a new soundtrack and theme song.
Soldier of warlords from deep space.
The movie was distributed through direct mail ordering services in magazines like Heavy Metal. The tapes sold well, however, they were unable to get the series on TV, because in order for a show to get syndication, it needed to have at least 65 episodes. MACROSS only had 36 episodes, with no sequels or spin-offs to draw additional footage from at that time. To lengthen the series, Harmony Gold decided to combine MACROSS with 2 other shows they had licensed from the same company that also featured transforming robots. These shows were the Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross and Genesis Climber Mospeada. With the most knowledge of Japanese animation and his experience as a Hollywood screenwriter, Macek was tasked with creating a story that would set all 3 series in the same universe. Similar to how Hasbro licensed Transformers to sell them outside of Japan, a company called Revell had licensed the MACROSS toys prior to Harmony Gold's acquisition of the MACROSS anime. Revell had been selling the toys under the name Robotech Defenders. This created a marketing issue for both companies, as Revell had published a DC comic creating lore for the toys, which was vastly different than the story of the cartoon in which they'd soon be appearing. At the same time, Harmony Gold wanted toys to sell along with their TV show. Revell and Harmony Gold decided to enter a co-licensing agreement, and Revell's name, Robotech, was adopted as the name of the series. In adapting the series for TV, Macek decided the best way to create a consistent story was to have each series as a new story in the same world. Robotech would follow 3 generations of humans and their fight against different alien invaders. Some characters would have their names changed in order to infer that they were relatives or descendants to characters from previous seasons, and dialogue was added referencing earlier characters and events.
Attending a concert performed by Yellow Dancer, a popular rock star following in the footsteps of Lin Minmay.
The first saga of Robotech was the MACROSS saga. As the first series, MACROSS was used as the foundation for the Robotech story, and as a result, it has the fewest changes from its original Japanese counterpart. The story of Robotech opens with an alien ship crash landing on Earth. In fear of the knowledge that warring aliens are within the reach of Earth, mankind unites to reverse engineer the technology found aboard the ship. Referred to as Robotech, these advanced weapons and machines are powered by a fuel source called protoculture, which was discovered aboard the alien ship. In the futuristic year of 2009, the alien ship is rebuilt and renamed the MACROSS. As the MACROSS prepares for its first launch, one of the cannons suddenly fires without warning, sending out a large blast deep into outer space. Captain Global realizes that it was a booby trap, and the alien invaders, known as the Zentradi, soon attack Earth. The story follows a young pilot, now renamed Rick Hunter, as he finds himself inducted into the military in the fight against the Zentradi forces, all the while developing a relationship with a young girl who dreams of stardom named Lin Minmay. Throughout the series, the character Minmay sang a variety of songs, as her Japanese voice actress Mari Yajima was a singer-songwriter. This leads to a scripting issue, since each new song was introduced as Minmay's latest song in the original Japanese. For example, at her first concert she sings the song "My Boyfriend is a Pilot." At the Chinese theater, she sings "Xiao Pai Long." When the MACROSS is sent back into space, she sings "My Beautiful Place." In Robotech, less original music was written for the character. At her first concert, she sings the song "My Time to Be a Star."
Stage lights flashing, the feeling smashing, my heart and soul belong to you.
At the Chinese theater, she sings "My Time to Be a Star."
Stage lights flashing, the feeling smashing.
When the MACROSS is sent back into outer space, Minmay decides to cheer everyone up by playing her latest song.
Stage lights flashing, the feeling smashing,
its credit, this actually adds a lot of depth to the scene that wasn't present in the Japanese. The upbeat poppy sound clashes with the footage so much that it gives this feeling that they were trying to make a statement about Minmei's popularity not being a result of her talent, but rather just being a product of everyone needing a distraction from the horrible alien war around them. And it feels like at this point in the story, they were trying to show that people can't ignore that anymore, and everyone is beginning to realize that, except Minmei. Again, this is completely unintentional, and the Japanese song fits the scene perfectly fine. Many have criticized My Time to Be a Star as being generic and repetitive. However, that's most likely the reason why the song appears in multiple skits on The David Letterman Show.
Take a look. With so many different cell phones on the market these days, the choices can be overwhelming. So if you need help sorting it all out, visit your local Verizon wireless store to see our unbeatable selection of camera phones.
One aspect of the show that went surprisingly unchanged from the Japanese was the love triangle between Rick Hunter, Lin Minmei, and Lin Kai-Fun. Lin Kai-Fun, who was renamed as Lin Kyle in Robotech, was Minmei's cousin. As a cultural note, at the time, Japan was actually one of the few countries that didn't prohibit first cousin marriage, although it apparently wasn't very common. Regardless, not only is Lin Kyle shown to have an attraction to his cousin, but they're even shown kissing in episode 27. This is a bit shocking, especially considering that one of the few scenes cut from the TV broadcast of Robotech was the MACROSS scene where Roy and Claudia have their first on-screen kiss. This was done because TV networks thought that showing an interracial kiss on a children's show would be too controversial. However, these scenes were added back in on the DVD release. As for Lin Kyle, he's portrayed as abusive, manipulative, and very anti-military. What some may find surprising is that Kyle's anti-military sentiments are also found in the Japanese version, dispelling any belief that this was patriotic propaganda from the pens of the Robotech writers.
I'm sorry. I'd accept your kindness if you weren't a soldier, but...
That's true. Kai-Fun hates military people. Here.
Ow! Don't press so hard!
In the original Japanese version of Macross, the Zentradi describe humans as a proto-culture, a culture where men and women coexist, and where the society isn't centered around war and conquest. In Robotech, Macek repurposed the term proto-culture to use as the name of a fuel source. But in the original Macross, no mention of any alien fuel source is ever given. The addition of proto-culture as a fuel source was added to Robotech in order to explain plot elements that would appear when transitioning to Southern Cross and Mospeada. Something that's important to know is that in Japan, Macross had amazing ratings, and it's believed that the reason why is because it attracted a huge demographic. While the transforming robot toys appealed to young boys, Minmei's dream to become an idol and the drama around her and Rick Hunter was appealing to young girls. And the success the series had in Japan was identically repeated when Robotech hit the West.
Here's what the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner says about Robotech.
It is a significant development, a space opera with serial novel overtones. Robotech may come as a revelation. Kids are going to come racing home from school to watch Robotech.
Compared to other cartoons, Robotech stood out as a show where the stakes were real. This is showcased best in episodes 18 and 19, where the characters Roy Fokker and Ben Dixon are both killed in battle.
I'm sorry, Rick. Commander Fokker is dead.
Commander Fokker is...
He's dead.
What?
He was wounded and lost too much blood.
Big brother. My big brother's dead.
Robotech's depiction of war and death was far more mature than any other cartoon on television at that time, and viewers took notice. The series also began to show that the Zentradi aliens were more than just mindless monsters. As the series progressed, the Zentradi soldiers became intrigued by human culture, and many abandoned their forces, becoming refugees aboard the Macross. Zentradi commanders Britai and Exodor, who were seen as the main antagonists from the beginning of the series, even micronized themselves to meet with the humans to discuss ending the war through peaceful negotiations. Following a challenge from the Zentradi warlord Chiron, an assassin from the female sector is sent aboard the SDF-1 to kill their ace pilot and wingman of Rick Hunter, Max Sterling. After beating the Zentradi assassin Miria in a video game, they meet in a park later that night. There, Max manages to win Miria's heart by beating her in a knife fight, and the two are soon married. This event sways the opinions of many military personnel that were unsure if they could trust the Zentradi, and the two sides begin to share their knowledge and culture with each other. However, there are still Zentradi who oppose this idea, and they view Britai and the refugees as traitors. As a result, in episode 27, the Zentradi fleet launch an attack on Earth, and in what could be considered the most shocking moment in all of the series, all life on Earth is obliterated, and all that remains of humanity are the couple of thousands of people aboard the SDF-1. In retaliation, the MACROSS launches an attack, plowing through the Zentradi fleet. Since the remaining Zentradi are the ones that most detest human culture, a concert is held on the bridge of the MACROSS, blasting music across the alien frequencies, leading to disorder and distress among their forces. When the Zentradi forces are demolished, the MACROSS falls to Earth, with all that remains of mankind, as well as the Zentradi refugees, ushering in a new age for humanity, an age of peace and reconstruction. The final 9 episodes of the MACROSS saga have a reputation for feeling tacked on, and the reason for that is because when MACROSS was airing in Japan, it was originally intended to be 23 episodes. Due to the popularity of the series, it was increased to 36, and the story for the first 23 episodes was stretched to episode 27, meaning that the remaining 9 episodes take place after the story was originally intended to end. It's during these episodes that we have the rare instance of footage from another series being spliced into a particular saga. In this case, footage of the Zor leaders from Southern Cross was mixed in with the MACROSS footage in order to foreshadow the next saga of the series. These beings are known as the Robotech Masters, as they were the alien race that first cultivated protoculture and invented robotechnology. It's explained that the Zentradi were nothing but soldiers working under the Robotech Masters, and it was the Robotech Masters that provided the Zentradi with their advanced ships and weapons. With their own supply of protoculture running low, the Robotech Masters plot a course for Earth to reclaim the protoculture and finish the war where the Zentradi failed. 2 years have passed, and mankind has created a new city called New Macross City, centered around the remains of the SDF-1 battleship. Max and Miria have settled down and had their first daughter together, named Dana Sterling. Meanwhile, the villain Chiron, who seeks vengeance against the humans, plans his counterattack. In these episodes, Min-Mei tries to get back in a relationship with Rick Hunter after they broke up so she could focus on her singing career. However, Rick has started a relationship with Bridge Officer Lisa Hayes. In the final episode, Chiron kamikazes his ship into the SDF-1, hoping to at least kill the crew inside. In the Japanese version of MACROSS, the attack is futile. However, in Robotech, the ending was drastically changed by adding a few lines of dialogue.
Oh, Lisa, I thought you were... At the last moment, Admiral Glover pushed me into an ejection module.
The decision to kill Gloval and the crew members was an odd decision, probably done to explain their disappearance in later seasons, as the following 2 sagas wouldn't be using MACROSS footage. In the final scene, Min-Mei agrees to stay friends with Rick Hunter as she travels the world to spread peace and love through her singing, while Rick and Lisa profess their love for each other and vow to rebuild the SDF-1 and someday explore the stars together. The MACROSS saga is the longest-running and most memorable arc in the Robotech saga. However, it was only the beginning of Carl Masik's sci-fi epic.